Yet again during the year 636, the Bedouin powers of the Rashidun Caliphate had started to spread the word about their presence all through the center-eastern promontory. The Muslim leader killed Ibn al-Walid had gotten what was one of Islam's most prominent triumphs against the titan that was the Byzantine domain at the Skirmish of Yarmouk. Their triumph at Yarmouk sent shock waves across the grounds, striking into the hearts of the Byzantine and Sassanid realms, the same whom following 30 years of past conflicts with each other were left powerless against the developing Islamic power in the district. The Muslim Caliph Umar had begun to raise new armed forces from all through Arabia, with the aim of reattacking the now weak Sassanid realm. Caliph Umar designated Sa'id ibn Abi Kate as a significant individual from the Quraysh clan as commandant of this military SB, and Abu Waqas was the seventh individual to embrace Islam and a friend of the Prophet Muhammad. The sheer presence of such a regarded Muslim general joined the Middle Easterner clans into an extraordinary armed force. In May 636, Sa'd was told to walk to northern Arabia with a group of 4,000 men from his camp at Sisra, close to Medina, and assume control over order of the Muslim armed force, and promptly walk ahead to Iraq. In light of his freshness as an overall, he was told by Caliph Umar to look for the council of experienced administrators prior to pursuing basic choices. Umar sent requests to him to end at Al-Qadisiyyah, a humble community 30 miles from Kufa. After a definitive triumph against the Byzantine armed force at the clash of Yarmouk, Caliph Umar sent quick requests to Abu Ubaidah to send a group of veteran fortifications to Al-Qadisiyyah. Furthermore, a later power of 5,000 veterans of Yarmouk was likewise shipped off Al-Qadisiyyah, showing up on the second day of the fight, which ended up being a crucial point in the Middle Easterner Sassanid fight. The Bedouins had been set up camp at Al-Qadisiyyah with 30,000 men since July 636, including 7,000 rangers. Its solidarity rose to 36,000 individuals whenever it was built up by the contingent from Syria and by nearby Bedouin partners. Umar requested Sa'id to send messengers to Yazdegerd III and the general of the Sasanian armed force, Rastam Farrakhzad, welcoming them to switch over completely to Islam. For the following 3 months, discussions between the Middle Easterners and Sasanians proceeded, with the Sassanid armed force under the order of Rastam arrived at Al-Qadisiyyah in July of 636 and laid out their profoundly sustained camps on the east bank of the Atik stream. There was a scaffold over the Atik waterway, the main intersection to the principal Sasanian camps, in spite of the fact that they had boats accessible available for later to cross the waterway. The Sassanid armed force around serious areas of strength for 60,000 into 3 primary classes: infantry, weighty cavalry, and the elephant center. The elephant center was otherwise called the Indian center, for the elephants were prepared and brought from Persian territories in India on 16th November 636. The Sassanid armed force got over the west bank of Atik, and Rastam conveyed his 45,000 infantry in 4 divisions, each around 150 m, separated from the other 15,000 cavalry, were split between 4 divisions to be utilized as a save for counterattack and offensives at Al-Qadisiyyah. The front line was around 4 kilometers in length. The Sassanid traditional was directed by Hermuzan, the right community by Jalinus, the backwatch by Peruzan, and the left wing by Marin. Rastam himself was positioned at a raised seat, concealed by a shelter close to the west bank of the waterway and behind the right place, where he partook in a broad perspective of the combat zone. Close by waved the Dirafsh Kaviani, the norm of the Sassanid Persians. Rastam put men at specific spans between the front line and the Sassanid capital Ctesiphon to communicate data. Rastam Farrakhzad was slanted anyway to try not to battle, and opened harmony exchanges. Sa'id sent Rabi Canister, Amir, and later Mujera Container Zurara to hold talks. Rastam attempted to instigate Bedouins to pick a serene result. "You are neighbors. Some of you were in our property, and we were kind of them and safeguarded them from hurt. We helped them in all habits. They carried their crowd to nibble in our fields. We gave them food stuff from our territory. We let them exchange our property. Their job was neat and tidy when there was a dry spell in your territory. and you asked us for help. We sent you dates and grain. I realize that you are here since you are unfortunate. I will arrange that your commandant gets clothing and a pony with 1,000 dirhams, and that every one of you get a heap of dates and 2 arrangements of dress. So you leave our territory, since I would rather not take you prisoner or kill you. Yet the messengers demanded that Persians needed to pick between becoming Muslim, paying jizya, or making battle. After the dealings fell through, the two sides ready for the fight to come. The fight opened up with a Sassanid blast of bolts causing destruction on the Muslim lines. The Muslim bowmen returned bolt shoot, however. Their substandard bows and bolts were not exceptionally compelling against the very prevalent weighty defensive layer of the Sassanid. Troopers Rostam started the fight by requesting his passed-on wing to go after the Muslims' conservative elephants drove the charge from the Sassanid side. Abdullah ibn al-Mutim, the Muslim commandant of the conservative, arranged Jarir ibn Abdullah, cavalry commandant of the traditional, to manage Sassanid elephants. Anyway, Jarir's cavalry, unfortunate of the enormous elephants, wouldn't progress forward. The elephants proceeded to progress, and the Muslim infantry prepared for the fierce surge. With the Muslim right being pushed hard, Said needed to act quickly to keep his flank from falling. He sent requests to Al-Shath ibn Qais, commandant of the Middle Right Cavalry Regiment, to check the Sassanid advance. Al-Shath then drove a cavalry regiment that supported the Muslim right and sent off a counterattack at the flank of the Sassanid left. The Muslim cavalry was effective with their flanking move. They had the option to end the Sassanid advance and gradually push back the aggressors. The Muslim commandant Asim requested his Taksafalite to kill the men on elephants and requested the infantry to cut the circumferences of the seats. The strategy worked, prompting the elephants being removed and resigned from the war zone. While this was occurring, Rostam had requested his passed-on center to progress on the Muslims' right community. With the Sassanids' underlying assaults spurned, Rostam requested his right community and traditional to progress against the Muslim left wing and left center. These segments were hit hard by the extreme bolt discharge during the underlying Sassanid flood. Then, at that point, trailed by a mass charge of weighty Sassanid infantry, Rostam had full trust in his Sassanid warriors. They were better prepared and more knowledgeable about fight, contrasted with their Muslim foes, whom battled savagely, bravely, and it not set in stone, as though God himself was looking after them on the war zone. The battling was ruthless, neither one of the sides giving any quarter. The Sassanid armed forces' place withdrew, followed by the retreat of the whole conservative. By evening, the Sassanid assaults on the Muslim left wing and left center were additionally thumped back. Rostam requested a precise retreat, which the Sassanid had the option to execute. The Muslim commandant Sa'd ibn al-Waqas needed to take advantage of this open door. He requested a counterattack. The Muslim infantry drove the lines, diving squarely into the drained Sassanid infantry. Followed intently behind was the Muslim cavalry, whom Sa'd had wanted to use, trying to flank the Sassanid position. Drained and exhausted from the day's battling, Rostam needed to rapidly revamp his men to prepare for the approaching counterattack. He then, at that point, by and by assumed control over his cavalry at the back, teaching them to stand firm on their footholds. The Muslim cavalry then, at that point, accused from the flanks of full power into the uncovered holes in Rostam's arrangement, a strategy known as Kar Wafar. Rostam provided the request for his cavalry to figure out, the Muslims keeping them from going after their uncovered flanks and leaving them speechless. The Muslim assaults were ultimately repelled by Rostam, who dove into the conflict by and by, and is said to have gotten a few injuries as night moved toward. The Muslims, unfit to acquire any benefit, withdrew and pulled out back to their camp. The primary day of fight was uncertain, with extensive misfortunes on the two sides. The next day around early afternoon, fortifications from Syria showed up for the Muslim armed force. Initial, a high-level gatekeeper under Al-Qaqa ibn Amr al-Tamimi showed up, followed by the fundamental armed force under its commandant Hashim ibn Utbah, nephew of Sa'd. Qaqa separated his high-level gatekeeper into a few little gatherings and trained them to arrive at the front line in a steady progression. providing the impression that an extremely huge group of fortifications had shown up. This procedure affected the Sassanid resistance, now with new groups of Middle Easterner fortifications from Syria and a completely refreshed armed force. Close by the way that there could have been done battling elephants in the Sassanid force that day, Saad looked to take advantage of this valuable chance to acquire any forward leap, if conceivable. So he requested a general assault. Each of the 4 Muslim contingents flooded forward to give the Muslims squeezed hard, exchanging blow for blow with their Sassanid enemies. However, the Sassanids stood firm and shot rehashed assaults. The Muslims pulled out from the battling, giving themselves as well as the Sassanids an opportunity to rearrange and slow down and rest. During the Muslim withdrawal, the Sassanids had drawn up their weighty cavalry to charge at the Muslims. Muslim Commandant Kaka, seeing this, and depended on a brilliant thought of disguising camels to seem to be unusual beasts, then moving these beasts to the front of the Muslim lines. Seeing them, the Sassanid ponies were unfortunate. They turned and darted the disruption of the Sassanid cavalry left there. Left place infantry weak side, needing to make the most of this open door, requested the Muslims to by and by take part in a head-on assault. Muslim leader Kaka ibn Ammar wanted to kill Rostam and drove a gathering of Mubarizms from his